The history of space race in Soviet Union was a remarkable one and characterized by extraordinary events. In the late 1950s, when the Soviet Union made its triumphant entry onto the global stage, the United States found itself in a fierce competition.
What do you think of the Russian satellite, which is circling the Earth at 18,000 miles per hour?
Well, to say the least, George, they're out of this world, but this is really quite an advancement for not only the Russians, but for international science. I think we'd all agree on that. It's the first time anybody has ever been able to get anything out that far in space and keep it there for any length of time. And this is probably the first step toward space travel or moon travel, something we'll probably run into maybe in Eddie's lifetime here at least.
Eddie, would you like to take a trip to the moon?
No, sir, I like it fine right here.
But the question is, was this space race driven by science and sheer curiosity? And the answer is not very quiet.
Sputnik was not just some orbiting spacecraft. It was a hollowed-out intercontinental ballistic missile where they took out the warhead and put in a radio transmitter. The military knew this. That's what founded NASA. NASA's budget for science it averaged over all these years about 25%. The rest has been for geopolitical purposes.
In this video, we'll explore the history of space in the backdrop of world conflicts and politics, and the role of Soviet Union in it. The year is 1917. A revolution led by Vladimir Lenin and the subsequent civil war allowed the Bolsheviks to seize power and lay groundwork for a communist state. This is usually known as Bolshevik Revolution of 1917. The rise of Soviet state was deeply ideological, driven by Marxist-Leninist vision of classless society. The Bolsheviks were committed to the idea of proletariat revolution, where the working class would seize control of the means of production and establish a socialist state. This vision served as a rallying point for many, promising a radical transformation of society. Only 30 years after this, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, the world's first artificial satellite. Sputnik 1 was launched on October 4, 1957. The launch of Sputnik 1 marked a historic moment in space exploration and geopolitical history, and it sparked space race between superpowers. These are the times when struggle for civil rights and desegregation of public facilities were ongoing in the United States. The Cold War between the United States and Soviet Union is at its peak, and a military conflict between Egypt and an alliance of United Kingdom, France and Israel has sparked. It was during this time the concept of artificial Earth satellite was first proposed by Russian scientist Konstantin Tsiolkovsky in 1903. His visionary ideas paved the way for eventual development of Sputnik 1. Sputnik was launched on space on October 4, 1957. This launch took the world by surprise. The radio signal emitted by satellite's transmitters could be received on Earth, and its regular beep was heard by amateur radio operators worldwide. This not only marked the beginning of space age, but also sparked intense reactions, including concerns and fears in the United States and potential Soviet military application of space technology. Fast forward to 1961, Yuri Gagarin, a Soviet Air Force pilot, became the first person to travel into space. He orbited the Earth in a small spacecraft called Vostok 1. He showed that humans could survive and work in space, proving that USSR had the skills and courage to venture beyond our planet. Gagarin's charismatic and humble demeanor instantly made him an international hero. All of this marked a significant milestone in space race and a source of immense pride for USSR. Gagarin's historic space journey was occurring amidst global tensions which were primarily driven by Cold War, a geopolitical and ideological rivalry between United States and Soviet Union. In response to Soviet Union's early successes in space exploration, especially the one with Yuri Gagarin, US President John F. Kennedy gave his famous 1961 speech where he promised to land man on moon.
The dramatic achievements in space which occurred in recent weeks should have made clear to us all, as did the Sputnik in 1957, the impact of this adventure on the minds of men everywhere who are attempting to make a determination of which road they should take. I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth. No single space project in this period will be more impressive to mankind or more important for the long-range exploration of space.
Kennedy's commitment to Apollo program was in part a response to Soviet Union's achievement in space and aimed to reassert American technological and ideological leadership. This era was seeing a Cold War which was not just military and technological competition, but had strong hints of ideological struggle between communism, as espoused by Soviet Union, and capitalism, embraced by United States. This political clash between two nations was fueling the conflict and driving the technological competition and the space race. Around the same time, the Soviet Union was making great strides in lunar explorations. They initiated Luna program in 1966. Luna 9 achieved a soft landing on the moon, capturing and transmitting images back to Earth. Apart from the great science and space exploration in this, there were military considerations in the development of lunar missions. The same rocket technology used for lunar missions could be adapted for the delivery of intercontinental ballistic missiles, which had significant implications for the arms race. There was an element of propaganda and ideological goal in the program too. It was seen as a means to promote the socialist state, emphasizing the state's ability to achieve great feats for the benefit of people. It was used to highlight the contrast with capitalist nations, particularly the United States. On one side, we have enthusiasts and people who are passionate about science, personalities like Valentin Glushko, a prominent rocket scientist who contributed significantly by developing powerful engines for Luna mission. His work ensured that the spacecraft and the propulsion required to reach the moon and beyond was fully achieved. Mstislav Keldysh, a renowned mathematician and aerospace engineer. He provided critical mathematical and scientific insights for mission planning and spacecraft design, and there were countless other scientists and engineers. On the other hand, we had politicians and people who actually funded these ventures, and intentions were mostly ideological and political. A similar sort of divide was on side of US too. Looking at all of this, we almost find ourselves in a situation where USSR was fueling these projects for ideological motives, trying to prove the world the validity of their socialist enlightenments. And on the other hand, we had United States reacting to these events, trying to take a lead in arena of space technologies for the sake of American nationalism and its attempt at ideological leadership, each running their own narratives about scientific progress, human development, and space adventures to their own population as a means to soften the nationalistic sentiments. From such a standpoint, it gets difficult to see any room for passionate science, space discovery, and curiosity in all of this.
So it's the I don't want to die driver in this world. That's why we spent all this money. And so the moment we learn Russia's not going to the moon and it's certainly not going to Mars, we canceled the program. It had nothing to do with public interest.
Okay, now let me...
On January 4, 1958, Sputnik crashed while making its way back to the Earth, and 7 years after Gagarin's journey, he died in a plane crash at the age of 34. While the USSR was at the forefront of space race during the early 1960s, a series of factors led to its decline in later years. One of the prominent factors was the immense economic strain imposed by costly space program. The vast expenditure associated with the space exploration led to its eventual downfall. The fall of the space race in Soviet Union marked a significant transition in the global competition for the supremacy in space exploration. Additionally, the economic and military focus shifted towards other areas, such as the arms race, which further divided resources away from the space program. In this journey through space race, we also saw incredible scientific breakthroughs and celebrated achievements in the realm of space exploration. However, we also saw the reality that race to the stars was not solely fueled by science and curiosity. It was highly a product of political and geopolitical ambitions. The space race was a powerful reminder that science and human development, especially in modern times and even today, are often shaped by currents of politics, nationalism, and also an attempt for the display of power. Thanks for joining us on this historical exploration, and see you in the next one.